I'm Aryeh Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. The W continues to get bigger. Part of that growth has been more and more opportunities in the U.S. for WNBA players. Part of that growth has been the expansion. With more and more roster spots and the international game stronger than ever, I'm excited to dive into the world of overseas basketball with my guest today, Antonia Peresson. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. Welcome back to the show. Very excited to be here and dive in to overseas basketball and its impact in the W. In its own world. There's so much to dive into. But Antonia, very excited to have you on the Winsidr team this season and specifically on this episode. For many years, I have found the overseas game to be so interesting, but also generally an unknown topic to WNBA fans. We've tried to expand that a little bit at Winsidr. We've had some success, some failure. I'll be the first to admit it. But I truly believe that it's such an untapped market because there's so much growth that WNBA players have overseas. And now with the expansion and with more roster spots available in the W, I think we're going to see a huge influx of overseas talent coming over to the W. And now for you, right? Like you have some extremely deep history with basketball, but also an extremely deep and unique experience in the ways you interact with basketball. I'm talking specifically, you came up through the Italian basketball program. You played college ball in the U.S. You've played professionally. You've coached. You work as a scout in the women's game. I mean, there isn't an aspect of women's basketball that you haven't touched on. And I think not only am I very honored to have you as part of the Winsidr team, it is always a great honor and just really cool for me to be surrounded by people who have such vast basketball knowledge. But also, this is kind of an episode that when you reached out to Winsidr, I was extremely excited about the possibility of doing something like this. So, first of all, welcome to the show. Sorry for the long-winded intro. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really good. And I want to also thank you for giving me this opportunity to work with you and work with the Winsidr team. I think that what you guys have been doing has been amazing. Like how you guys have been helping the W to expand. Like it's literally, I've been watching it from outside as a fan, and I've been inspired by your work. So thank you for allowing me to be part of your team. That's my first thank you. Then the second one is thank you for allowing me to be here and talk a little bit about overseas basketball. It's fun. I think it's always a fun conversation, a little bit of a conversation that it's not really known. So a lot of people are scared to touch a topic that it's a little bit a gray area. Let me put it like that, because not too many people, as in Italy and in Europe, there is not too much knowledge about the college world or the WNBA. I feel like that it's a little bit the same way in the US. A lot of people do not know too much what is going on in Europe. And I can tell you that I'm here and a lot of fun things are going on. So I'm glad that we can talk about it right here.
So I have to ask you first, right off the bat, you're coming off of a big game in the semifinals. You hit 2 free throws with around, was it 30 seconds or 18 seconds left? Your team was up by 4 at the point. You put them up 6 as time's expiring. Clutch free throws. Hate to put you on the spot, but I have to. What was going through your mind as you go to the line and you hit both those free throws?
That's a good question. I might sound like crazy right now, okay? But I talk to myself when I'm on the free throw line. I'm like, because I know a lot of times, players in those moments, heads go crazy, they start to think, oh my God, now if I miss. So I just tell myself, this is going in. So I just repeat to myself this phrase so I can't think about anything else but the ball going in. So that has been helping me since my college days. I gotta say, my one of my assistants at that time like helped me with this little trick, and I've been bringing it with me even right now, still playing professional. So yeah.
That's so cool. I always find free throw routines, and because there's so many moments where so much is going on, right? Like I can ask a player, I can ask somebody about what was going through your head when you set that pick or when you hit that shot. But in those moments, the fast pace of the game is happening. There's so many different intangibles happening. It's so rare. Like tip offs, jump balls, and free throws, or maybe even inbounds. Those are the plays that in my mind are so individual, so mental, and on it like it makes me think of a movie because those are like when that player is sitting there and they silence out the crowd and you just hear that player talking in their head, or one bounce, two bounce, whatever that left right foot, like whatever it is. I find it so cool. I realize I didn't intro what the game was and what team you're playing for. So why don't you explain to the listeners what the semifinals game was for, what's the importance behind it, and anything else you want to share on that?
Yes, no, but I think as you, I feel like that it's those little episodes sometimes, and it's true. I feel like that it's really individualistic how every player approach that, or even after you come like after timeout situations, like everybody gotta focus on something different to keep their minds into that. So I love it. I heard a lot of players doing the right foot, left foot, left foot, right foot, so I think everybody got their own tricks that they talk themselves into. But so this season I'm playing in A2, which is the second league in Italy. Last year I was in the first league. This season, this team close to home. I'm literally 30 minutes from home, so it was beautiful for me,
That's amazing.
And so I decided to go play there. It's Treviso. You probably have heard already this city from the old times of Benetton Treviso. That's where Bargnani was playing. Like they were big time, They still have a team, still in the first league, the boys. And we are in the second league women playoffs. It was the semifinal. We beat the fourth seed, which was also one of my previous teams, in the quarterfinals. Game 3 there as well. Game 3 finished like 2 points difference. So it has been insane, these playoffs. Now we just beat the first team in the league. Game 3 as well, 1-2-1 every game. Like first game we won by 1, second one buzzer beater, they won. This game finished by 2 points. So he has been like a really tough tough playoffs, but we have pulled it through. Like I love what my team have been doing. We're putting the heart on the line. Like we have been growing much closer in these playoffs, and it's showing on the court. So I'm loving it. I'm really loving it because I feel like that each one of us deserve it a lot. The coach has and he is an amazing coach. Like he should be coaching at the higher level. So he has been fun, and I hope it keeps being fun. We're gonna have the final starting in 10 days against another really good team. Like they have an Olympic player in their team that played Olympic with Germany, so they're really good. We're gonna see, but we need to enjoy that. That's rule number 1.
Enjoy the next 10 days. The build-up maybe might be more exciting than that, but okay, so very excited for that. I'm going to have to definitely watch those games. Maybe we'll have a little Winsidr viewing party. But let's dive into overseas basketball. Now, obviously, things have changed over the years. I am, I'm like a preschool knowledge in comparison to your PhD in overseas basketball. So bear with me. But maybe it'll be helpful for the listeners because they're probably a little bit closer to my knowledge. So in the past, throughout the many years, right, there's been different Russian powerhouse teams. There was a period of time where, the Chinese league was really getting powerhouse major professional players from the W. I'm talking Sylvia Fowles, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, and many, many others. Everybody obviously knows about Ekaterinburg, who obviously famously had a variety of different players throughout the year. I mean, their team was basically an all-star game throughout. Since the war in Ukraine, the Russian league has not been as attended by WNBA players, which was obviously also seriously impacted by Brittany Griner's wrongful arrest. And that whole situation, I was actually looking recently because I found it quite interesting to see that there is, I believe, still two American players, American-born players, who I think they also have like Russian citizenship or European citizenship, who are playing for ECAT, Alex Bentley and Megan Walker, I want to say, which was just interesting. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they're still not in like the major Euro League, right? Like they're still
Euro League, no Euro Cup. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then the other kind of big powerhouse team, from my knowledge, again, correct me if I'm wrong, was Fenerbahce from Turkey. And obviously they were typically that second team that was kind of fighting with ECAT in the finals, in the semifinals. Sometimes they, lost in the quarters or the whatever. But in general, those in my mind were kind of the two powerhouse teams that were paying crazy amounts of money to get WNBA players. And also for me, that's how I kind of tried to peek into the overseas world of non-WNBA players. Who was on, ECAT or Fener? Who was on, I'm not even going to try and butcher it, but there's the Sacho, the Italian team. I'm totally butchering it. That at times,
Schio.
What is it? Thank you. Yeah, way off. Way off. English is barely my strong suit, so give me a break here.
If you really like that, you would never say it's Schio, so.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. I'll take that little bit. And so I think it's been really interesting. But so now, Fener has still had a large amount of really strong American-born players, WNBA players. But I'm curious for you, like these days, now that we're a few years removed from ECAT being that powerhouse, and this will lead into my next question, but like kind of who are the main teams now? Who are the teams that are making big noise that either have a nice presence of Americans or don't? But like who are the main teams in EuroLeague and Euro Cup these days?
No, that's a good question. And I feel like that you explained a lot by explaining the Russian teams being cut out of EuroLeague, because I agree, it was Ekaterinburg. I remember you were watching the roster and it was all the best WNBA players playing there together. Like it was insane to watch. Like not even WNBA teams had that many stars playing together. Like it was crazy for real to watch.
There was also, what was it, Dynamo Kursk or something that was also at times had some really, like there was, it's pretty crazy. I remember I don't even remember what year it was, but there was like a Players Tribune or something that did a short doc with Simone Augustus, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time, and Nneka Ogwumike, who are both overseas with Dynamo, and kind of did like a day in the life with them, and it seemed crazy. But sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. No, it's true. It was, and I remember a lot of Russian teams were also paying WNBA players more to not go to the WNBA. Like it was almost the opposite. Right now there is the prioritization rule, WNBA, but it was literally almost the opposite. But, well, you said, I feel like that now Russian teams are out of the pictures. Fenerbahce is still a powerhouse. Like this year they had Gabi William, Messiman, Nayara Saballi, McBride towards the end, Tina Charles. They still had a roster that was Alleman. They still had a roster with plenty of WNBA stars. But I also liked watching other European teams like from Spain, Italy, Schio itself, also Reyer that right now is competing in EuroLeague as well. But, well, you can see also Praha this year, USK, that they won the EuroLeague, actually. They had a lot of European talents outside of Brianna Jones and Ezzy McBagor that were dominant in the paint, but they had off as a first sub, Emeze off from the Netherlands. They had Ayayi, which had amazing games like EuroLeague. She has been really, really good. French player, Oblak from Slovenia, starting point guard. They also had Maria Conde, who didn't play because she was injured. Like, it's been, I loved watching also this European player that had been having chance in the W, some not, but they had been playing their roles extremely well and helping teams that did not have all of these WNBA stars get into the top. Well, another team similar, I would say, on how it was put together, the roster was Mersin. I mean, Kukurova. They had Natasha Howard, Carly Samuelson, Marine Johannes, Rupert. They had a lot of talents as well, Yvonne Anderson. I really enjoyed watching the final six of the EuroLeague. It was like watching literally like WNBA. Like, I gotta tell you that, but with a lot of European system style that was inserted on it, but I really enjoyed it. So to go back and answer to your question, Praha has been a really good teams lately. I mean, last year they finished fourth, I believe. Yeah, this year fourth. Yeah, I don't want to say something wrong. I think so, fourth. Skio has been a powerhouse as well. Last year they finished third. This year they were again final six. There are the regular Spanish teams. Avenida, Zaragoza has been really growing. Girona. Then what else? Well, in France there is Targo Bourges. There is Basket Landes. I feel like that these are the main like top 10 teams. And I gotta say that a lot of these teams still have a lot of WNBA players. It goes back though to having the numbers, because a lot of leagues have are required on numbers that you gotta follow. So that's stopping some teams to be at that level. For example, Italy itself, I can tell you that in the first league you cannot have more than 4 foreigns. So Skio has 4 foreigns. They have Juhas, Dojkic, Laksa, Salaun, but that's it. They have 4 foreigns because that's the limit. While, for example, Fenerbahce or teams in Spain do not have limits. They have limits on Americans, but not on Europeans. So that also changes the level of players that you can get. Obviously, Skio gets all the best Italians that they can get. So that's what's helping them. But yeah, yes, I love watching EuroLeague, EuroCup. I think that the level has been rising, even though unfortunately, because of the WNBA prioritization rule, some cannot come. I say unfortunately because I am super pro for the league to keep, expanding and growing. So I understand prioritizing the league. Like, I understand it gotta be a priority. On the other side, as a European player and a European fan, I'm sad to miss out on those WNBA stars. Until 2-3 years ago, we had Marina Mabrey dominating in the finals in Italy with Skio. We had Erika Hemby. Natasha Cloud came to Skio. Like, we had a lot of WNBA stars coming, but I love also the Unrivaled League. I'm glad that the WNBA players have a way to, be also financially, like, have a financial way of staying in America and playing other leagues there to keep growing the game there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on this, and just to give our listeners a little bit more understanding, each country's EuroLeague, EuroCup, all of the, the different leagues and whatnot create different rules. So in some countries and some leagues, it's you can have a foreigner, but they can only play X amount of minutes, or they can't play in the fourth quarter, or you can only have this amount of foreigners. And the part that I think is really hard for people who follow American sports to understand is, look at a team like Fener. They have their local roster for when they play in the Turkish league, and then they have their international roster because there's different rules. So a player maybe is on Fener for the local roster. By local, I mean the national roster for the national league, where they can have, unlimited foreign players playing all the minutes you want. But then they have their roster for Euro Cup or Euro Leagues. They would never be in Euro Cup, in Euro League. And you have all these rules, so they have to decide who. And by the way, shout out to the Fenner jersey behind me. Had to do it for this episode. I need more Euro jerseys. But yeah, so I think it's really interesting. It's hard to wrap your head around for us Americans who don't have as much of a concept of it. And also, if I'm being blunt, it's really hard, not just with the language barrier. Google Chrome does a great job of translating web pages these days, which makes my life so much easier. But there is struggles in following the league because there's so many different leagues, because they're playing in this local league versus national league versus Euro Cup versus Euro League, whatever it is. It gets really complicated. So there's a lot of rules. At some point, we're going to have to write like a primer of like breaking down the four major leagues, countries, whatever it is, and just rules so people understand it. But you did the perfect segue. For so many years, it felt like there was almost this Cold War going on between the WNBA and the European leagues. All of the best WNBA players, you said this before, some of them were getting paid to not play in the W. Like 50 times their WNBA contract. Don't go play in the W. If you want to pay me not to work, please do that. That would be amazing. You want to pay me to rest? Like, come on. And so there was a lot of fluctuation. And I think if you did a great job of explaining it, you can view it from the WNBA side, you can view it from the European side, or you can view it from a I love basketball side. And I try and view it from the I love basketball side, which is I get both sides of it. The WNBA was hurting. Their opening weekends were not as powerful, as entertaining as they should be, and their seasons were getting damaged because WNBA players were overseas, were showing up the first day of the season, a week into the season. Heck, I remember there was one year Kayla McBride had just won. Either they did win or they didn't win the Euro League. And then she comes over on like the Lynx third game, flies from, I want to say it was from Turkey to LA, meets the team in LA, hits a game winner, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then like the next 3 games, she just looked completely wiped because how can your body take that? So eventually we all knew this was going to come to a point where the W is going to have to say something. So the W says you have to be over the prioritization. I'm curious from your perspective on the European side, have you seen an impact in the league? It seems like, and this is complete, I didn't prep you on this and I have complete no knowledge of this, so please explain to me. But it seems like for me that maybe either that the European leagues end a little bit earlier now, or maybe it's just how it normally works and it seemed different before. But it seems like the European leagues, Euro League, the national leagues, whatever, end a little bit earlier. So there is that space because even if I'm looking at it now, like how many games are still, like how many leagues are still going on right now? I know, with Dorka Juhas, she just announced she's going to be sitting out for personal reasons because she's been playing year round. Blow to the Lynx and the W, but also a great gift to the Lynx that she's sitting out. They don't have to worry about making a roster decision before she's actually come over. But so I'm curious. I know this is super long-winded. What do you think about from like how it's impacted overseas basketball, the prioritization?
No, yeah, that's a good question. Well, to answer to your previous question, yeah, for example, Italy, Juhas is sitting out. She's playing tomorrow the final. She's playing tomorrow the final ski against Rayer. They are 2-2, another crazy final. Like there's gonna be game 5. Like last game of the series, and Skio was up 2-0, then Rayo recovered, now they are 2-2, so it's a hell of a game, but I've seen a little bit the difference. I've seen it because I feel like that as it happens everywhere, the teams that had the most money were able to bring really good WNBA players, while the teams that had a little bit less money, so the lower level teams, were not able to bring that caliber of players. So there was a larger gap, And I've also seen it that, for example, to give you an example of Italy, there is the rule that you can get 4 foreigners, but you can also pick 4 Europeans, but if you want, you can pick 2 Americans, but max 2. So you gotta be 4 foreigners, max 2 Americans. So it's really few spots, really few spots. So they gotta pick right the players, pick inside of the system, inside of the team that you want to build. And I feel like that a lot of clubs have been going with the Europeans sometimes. Like I'm seeing Skio itself right now. They have Juas from Hungary, they have Dojkic from Croatia, they have Laksa from Latvia, and Salaun from France. Like you kind of turn a little bit more into the Europeans that are a little bit less not touched by it, but the prioritization rule touched them a little bit less because of also Eurobasket, and there are other events in Europe some summers that allow them to finish the season, because a lot of players find themselves, even if they have been shortening the seasons, but not to the level that players, right now, Juas, these players are in WNBA rosters, but they are not able to be at the training camp because they're still playing the final. So I've seen a little bit the clubs being touched by this. There is not a Marina Mabry that in game 3 she scored 35 and lets you win the game alone. Like I've seen her just give me the ball, I'm going. Like there are no those players anymore. But at the same time, I feel like that it gave more chances also to Italians in a certain way, to Europeans. Because there are more clubs that are investing in Europeans, and so there are more Europeans that are growing their game in Europe. I feel like that he has the pros and the cons to it. But as we said before, I feel like that as a fan, I could tell you I would hope that there would not be this rule, but as a WNBA fan as well, I comprehend and I understand that it's necessary for players to get there and not miss out. Yeah.
So I know you have an article coming out soon over on Winsidr. Shameless plug. Everyone should go check it out. Touching on non-WNBA players who WNBA fans should have a little bit of peripheral vision, keep their eyes out for, just names you should know. And I think that's perfectly timed, obviously. With the expansion of the W, we got 2 more teams coming. And I mean, we've seen in Connecticut, in Golden State Valkyrie, in Phoenix, it's not just that we're seeing more teams, so there's more roster spots. It's also a lot of these teams have put so much money into their top heavy, into their superstars, into their starting 5, that then they need to find players that don't have as much WNBA experience, that would still be on rookie scale contracts, things like that, who can still provide depth and help. And so I see a lot of teams turning towards overseas to say, hey, you have experience playing professionally. We need someone with a skill set in that who, naturally would be on the lower scale of the payout. And for so long, there's kind of been, I've talked to coaches in the past where they're like, yeah, we can convince overseas players to come to America for the summer because, hey, we're paying you a little bit and you get a free trip to America to all these sites. Well, now as the W is growing and the new CBA is going to come, now it's also going to be like, and we can actually pay you a little bit of good money. It's not just going to be, hey, we're paying you on the lower end, come on over, get a free trip to America and view the sites, enjoy a summer. But I'm curious for you, don't get into it too much, but just give me sprinkle a couple names from your article, if you don't mind, that people should be aware.
No, okay. I don't want to drop too many names. No, I can tell you that I studied from a list of 20 because I wasn't decided if I wanted to go with 20 or 10. That I opted up with 10. So I'm gonna start with some names that I had in the 20 but didn't make the cut, which are names that you probably already know, though. Well, I could start from Yagupova, but that wouldn't be fair. I feel that would be.
I was going to say, when I read the list, I was like, I get why you didn't put her in. But I just want WNBA fans to understand that Yagupova is, from my perspective, she is the arguably the greatest basketball player never to play in the W, and everyone's going to go Cheryl Miller, but I'm saying she is a player in modern day. We have like Cheryl Miller, there's not the film of it. We don't, we didn't see her drop 100 in high school. Iguipova, we have watched be a dominant force going up against the best players in the world for years. Sorry, and I'm obsessed. Also, because somebody once said she's my doppelganger. So I am like flattered beyond, but yeah, continue.
No, but yeah, she was the first name. I wasn't decided to put her literally as the 10th, but I was like, it would be even too obvious, as you said, I feel like that even before this rule, when there was the Ekaterinburg of the situation, she was dominant, like against WNBA players and WNBA teams almost, because Ekaterinburg was a team full of WNBA players. So and even right now, she just brought Valencia to the winning the Spanish, season, the Spanish championship. She is just a different level. To me, she's the best that, as you said, the best non-WNBA player that fans had not the chance to see. So she was in the list, absolutely. Another one that didn't make it was Mariella Fazula. I don't know if you ever heard of her. Maybe from college days. No. She played first in Boston College, then she transferred to Vanderbilt. And then in Europe, she had been playing between Avenida she has been playing Avenida, and she has been beautiful to watch, in my opinion. Like her skill set, already in the States, she was like ACC first team, same in the SEC. Like her skill set, her underhand, like her footwork around the basket, she's elite. She's like a player from old school, but that brings everybody to school, literally, in the post. Like, she's really beautiful to watch. Who else? Well, a friend of mine that I gotta say her name, though, also from college days, Elisa Penna. She played at Wake Forest. She was in the Italian national team. Wake Forest, she was literally one of the, after Derica Hamby left, it was Elisa's Penna Award there. Literally, like, she killed it there. And she's in Europe. She was top 10 Italian players in the league, second Italian scorer in the league. Her team finished fourth the season. She averaged more than 15 points a game. Like, she was elite, like a forward that can play 2, 3, 4, 6'3", a shot that it's unguardable. Like, and I played with her, when I was young. This is gonna be a fun story for you. She's my age, and Zandalazzini was a year under us. And basically, there was her and Zandalazzini playing together. They were just, you couldn't defend them, because they were playing the 3 and the 4, alternating, 2 hell of a shooters, tall wings that can do a little bit of everything, score from every part of the court. Like, we had a lot of success with our national teams with those two, definitely. Well, and to tell you, cool. Let me drop maybe one player that made it to the list. Literally, I started the list with this player, but because I was impressed. I saw her playing live. I was impressed. I played against her in college when she was in Syracuse. Fondren, that's her last name. She graduated from Syracuse 2016. That she went ahead and played overseas some years, and this year she came to Italy. She went to play in the team where I was playing last year, Faenza Basket Project. And they had a team that was predicted to finish last, like in the last standings of the league, because they had literally all young Italians, never experienced the first league. And they brought her in and other 2 Europeans. She had the best season of her career. She was top 10 in scoring, rebounding, assisting. She had like 3 triple doubles, like had 3 games over 40 of evaluation. Like, she was a guard with a elite IQ, passing skills that I really rarely seen, those passing skills. And she just elevated everybody around her. That was beautiful to watch. Like the coach there has a really particular playing style that is really free, like open opportunities for everybody, not really like different from a regular like calling the play set. It's more like dribble drive, but everybody creates opportunity, and she literally just created opportunities for everybody. Like she was averaging like insane numbers. Like I do not remember exactly, but like 17, 8 and 8, that could be something like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised. So she was fun to watch. She's 32 years old, but I feel like that if anybody wants to bet on a guard that she was an elite defender as well. Like she was number one in steals in Italy as well. Like she just filled up the stat sheet day in and day out in Italy, which is a league in which, there are a lot of other really good players, WNBA also players, a lot of good Europeans, and she just was not scared of competing against them, and she just put the team on her back and led them to the first time ever that the team reached the playoffs. So it was fun to watch this story unfold from outside.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a really good point. I think what we're going to see in the future of the W is you're going to see kind of two camps of players. You're going to see those young prospects. I'm talking about like Asika Kone, Kosu. You're going to see those players. Those players that are maybe on the younger side that has so much potential. And then you're also going to see, players who have played, who are a little bit older. And I hate this. This is like my biggest pet peeve when a player comes from overseas and they're like 32, 33, and then the whole season it's this 33-year-old rookie. And it's like, okay, they've been playing professionally for like 15 years. Let's chill out. But those are the types, because they are going to be, like I said before, on that rookie scale. So it allows you a little bit more flexibility with your roster and your cap space. There's Kosu, who a lot of people thought was going to be a pick and stash for Minnesota. Maria Vadiva, who's no longer going by Vadiva since she got married, but I can't pronounce her new last name. Apologize. Chechi Zandalicini, as we discussed a little bit. Marine Johannes, Julie Van Loo, to name a few. But is there a player that I haven't mentioned, a European player who's coming over to the W this season, that you're like, oh, I'm excited to see what she can do in the W?
That's a good question. Well, I have one in my head, Carla Leite, Valkyries. She was the MVP of the finals of Eurocup with, now I'm going to struggle to say this name because it's in French. Villeneuve.
I'm not alone.
She's good. She got that French talent with her, that we have seen Johannes bring first, but she's like that, and I really love her game. Like, and she's not afraid of the spotlight. She's not afraid of taking responsibility at such a young age. So I feel like that she's gonna be fun to watch. Another one that actually did really, really good in the last preseason game of the Valkyries is the other French. The French player, the French teammate, her name is Mami Yan Touré. She went to double figure, like literally like in 30 minutes. She had a hell of a game. She's another one. And the crazy fact for her is that she's not even in the French national team. She's on the 3-on-3. She has been on the 3-on-3 national team for years, but she's not even in the 12 of the senior national team of France. That's how much talent there is in French and in some of these countries overseas. And when one last one, I gotta say, because I've been seeing her in Europe dominating this past year, is Yvonne Anderson with Connecticut. I'm curious to see her, competing, because she has been competing in EuroLeague this past year and in Eurocup at really high level. She even played in Italy past seasons in Reyer, and she has been the player for the Serbian national team in this past year that really led them to good results at Eurobasket, Olympics, and everywhere. So these three come to my mind, but I feel like that you have said also many other players. I mean, starting from Zanda, Cecilia Zandalazini with the Valkyries. looking forward to see all of these players that come there, compete, and compete for a spot in the best league in the world, and can showcase their talents. I feel like that he has been, as the game has been growing, also the Europeans that have been coming, their talents have been growing. I'm seeing even, the New York Liberties of last year. So many internationals were in that team. Phoebe that played a crucial role for them. Niara Saballi. They're just, I could keep going for ages, but I'm just really glad that the WNBA are embracing also the European talents, because I think that it can help the game, and a lot of these Europeans bring a different flair to their game. Like they come from a different foundation of styles. So I like that they can come there, bring it to the game, and some have a lot of success. Some a little struggle at the beginning, which is normal. But I feel like that it's fun to watch them there compete, because I feel like that a lot of them belong there. So it's only right to see them there.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. And obviously, like, Xana Lassini's a player who, I got to see live for a few years in Minnesota. Then there was that gap. And then when she came back, the growth, the confidence is just so cool to see. And I think, at least from my perspective, when she first came to the W, there was so much talk of that potential. I think so often we hear about these players, like we hear these draft European players, we hear they have potential. Maybe you see like a little glimpse of it as they're playing, but they're still really young. And so often in the W, they go back overseas. Maybe there isn't a roster spot for them for the next 3 years, so they don't come back. And then maybe we see them many years down the road and they have grown, and you've seen that potential come to fruition. It's really cool. We're definitely going to be talking more overseas basketball. And especially when the season gets going and some of these players are truly standing out and making their mark in the W, we will be discussing it definitely more. Reminder, keep your eyes out for that article about overseas players who have not played in the W that will be coming out shortly. And thank you for making the time. I know it's probably like 5 a.m. No, it's not actually, but the time difference is not easy. I get it. I appreciate you. And I'm excited for the WNBA season, and best luck 10 days from now. We got finals. Okay. We are in prep. I hope you're drinking your raw eggs. You're doing the stairs. You're running like crazy. You're getting the conditioning, because I see you on the court. You're a leader on the court. I like that about your game.
Thank you. I try to help however I can. I just want to win, literally. So I just try to bring whatever I can to the table to help my team win. Yeah.
Love it. Well, we'll be back later.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.